All right, good morning, AC3. Sorry it took me a little long to get this posted for you, but this is a breakdown of the notes in your PowerPoint that say the trial. If you look, however, at the slide, it says the trail. So if you're wondering why did Mr. Peck get a B on this in his class in college, that's one of the reasons. It says the trail. But I promise you, it means the trial. Now, first slide where it says the lawyer. It says O.J. Simpson hired high-profile defense team led by Johnnie Cochran. That is true. On the test, I'll tell you right now, you're going to need to tell for me or say for me 3 of O.J.'s 5 main lawyers. Now, he had more than that, but those are just the 5 that I'm looking for. We already know 2, right? Yesterday, who did we talk about? It's his buddy, Robert Kardashian, right? Okay, so that's 1. Number 2, you just learned about Johnnie Cochran. So we need 3 more, right? Okay. You also have a man named F. Lee Bailey, like F. period Lee Bailey. He's going to come into play later. You also have a man named Alan Dershowitz. Okay. So you got Johnnie Cochran, F. Lee Bailey, Alan Dershowitz, Robert Kardashian, and Robert Shapiro. Robert Shapiro is his other main one. Robert Shapiro was going to be his head attorney. But eventually, Johnnie Cochran kind of took over with that, and he became the head attorney as far as the case goes. Okay, so what did Cochran suggest? He suggested there was police bias in this case, that the police were planting evidence, that the police were trying to make O.J. guilty, and that there was mishandling of evidence. And Cochran is very famous for a certain quote, and I'm sure you guys have heard the quote before. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. And what he's talking about is the bloody glove. All right? Next. Evidence submitted to court with the crime scene where the blood is. So blood drops were found alongside bloody shoe prints, like we said. Blood was found on a gate in the back of the murder scene. Both samples contain O.J.'s genetic markers. And then, like I said, O.J. had a cut on his finger that they discovered. So they're like, that cut on his finger is probably where his blood came from. Right? Where it says arguments at the crime scene, arguments by the defense, you do not need to know all of that, all right? What you need to know is what was their defense. You got to remember, this is 1994, 1995. What's the defense say? DNA is kind of unreliable. Can we really trust it? Now, we know today, yes, you can, all right? But back then, Cochran was like, can we really trust it? And he also said that the blood may have been planted there by police in order to get O.J. framed. Now, they're going to keep coming to that. They're going to keep saying that O.J. was framed, that the cops did this, the cops did that. Let's keep something in mind. If that was the case, then 2 things would have happened. Either A, the police may have had to plan the murder to frame him, or they didn't plan the murder, but they saw the murder and they said, well, we're going to plant evidence to say it was O.J. All right, so could it have happened? Absolutely. Is it far-fetched? Probably is, yes. Okay. So, next one down. And once again, if it seems like I'm going quick, I am. But also, tomorrow, you're going to get a very detailed study guide of everything you need to study for this test, all right? It's not hard. It's pretty easy, all right? So, just keep that in mind. If it seems like this looks like it's too much, I don't know what I'm doing, trust me, you're going to be fine, all right? Arguments about the crime scene of the blood, prosecution arguments. The prosecution, the people trying to get him found guilty are saying, places him at the crime scene. His blood is by these bodies. So, yeah, he did it. All right? Scientific testing and controls discarded any possibility of contamination. They said, look, this went through rigorous tests. He clearly did it. All right? Evidence submitted to the court, bloody shoe prints. The shoe prints that were leading away from the crime scene were size 10 Bruno Magli shoes, or rare Italian shoes. Guess who owns a size 12 Bruno Magli shoe? O.J. Simpson. It's a very expensive shoe. It's a very rare shoe. So, kind of interesting there, right? Arguments to the bloody shoe prints that the defense made. The people trying to say that O.J.'s not guilty. Well, the shoes weren't recovered. It was just the footprints. So, who knows what shoes they were, even though the footprints of the Bruno Magli shoes were at the crime scene. And it says thousands of those kinds of shoes were sold. No evidence to show that Simpson ever owned a pair. Even though when O.J. used to do live commentary for NFL football games, they would have pictures of him standing on the sidelines. Guess what shoes he was wearing? Size 12 Bruno Magli shoes. Okay, so the arguments, once again, by the prosecution for it, try to imply that Simpson could have owned such a pair as they were sold at Bloomingdale's in New York, where Simpson frequently shopped, and Simpson wears a size 12. Okay, so there you go. Evidence submitted to the court by the hairs and the fibers. Remember we told you how there were hair follicles found on the bodies, and there were cotton fibers from the hat that he was wearing. Well, the prosecution says, look, his hair's there. The cotton fibers from his hat are there. It's proof that he did it. Next slide down where it says the defense, it says that those hair follicles only prove that the murderer was black. It doesn't prove that it was him. It just proves that it was a black male based on the way they would do the testing. And they said, look, 10% of LA is black. So it could have been hundreds of thousands of people. Another argument they gave is that the hair appeared to be dandruff-free. And they said OJ has dandruff in his hair, so couldn't be him, right? Great argument. Hilarious. Dark blue sweatsuit was never found. True, but, we know OJ had one. Fiber evidence could have been cast around scene when an officer unrolled a blanket from inside the house to cover Nicole's body. These are arguments that, yes, they could be arguments, but they're also really stretching these arguments. But either way. Okay, so once again, arguments with the hair, the prosecution once again. It was Simpson's, he was wearing a black knit cap, all those things. Now, the bloody glove part. And this is where it gets interesting. Evidence of the bloody glove. Go where it says evidence submitted to the court, the bloody gloves. One dark cashmere line, Aris Light leather glove, size extra large. You do not need to know the details of the glove for this test. You don't need to know that it was an Aris Light, that it was cashmere. You don't need to know that. Don't worry about it. All right? One was found at the murder scene, and one was found behind Simpson's guest house in the back part of where his property is. They did the DNA test. DNA test showed blood found on the glove had Simpson's markers as well as both victims. And the other glove at his house had a very long blonde hair strand on it. Guess whose hair it was? It was Nicole's. All right. Now the glove is where the most important part of this case comes in. The defense says, look, there's your proof. He did it. One glove at the crime scene, one glove at his house. All right. What is the defense's argument? The glove found behind his house was placed by a racist cop, Detective Mark Furman. Now you may say, how do we know Mark Furman's racist? We're going to get into that tomorrow. Okay. The blood on the glove was planted. That was another defense, that they actually took the blood and put blood on the gloves to plant it. And the hair analysis isn't sophisticated enough, and that the glove did not fit. This is where the prosecution makes a terrible mistake in the court case. And the defense knew it was going to happen, that the prosecution was going to make OJ try on one of the gloves. And did the glove fit? Technically, it did not when he put it on in the court case. Now, so you may say, well, there it is. He's not guilty. The glove didn't fit. And like Cochran said, if the glove does not fit, you must acquit. A couple reasons the glove didn't fit, though, if you paid any attention to this in the past or know the story. Number one, he had to wear a latex glove underneath the other glove as to not contaminate it in court. And number two, OJ's defense team knew ahead of time that they were going to make him try on the glove. OJ has severe arthritis in his hands. The defense said, OJ, now they said this behind closed doors, they didn't say this publicly, but they said, OJ, stop taking your arthritis meds. And OJ says, well, if I stop taking my arthritis medication, my hand's going to really hurt and they're going to swell up. And Cochran and the rest of the defendants basically said, exactly, that's what we wanted to do. And that is what happened. His hand swelled up. The glove did not fit. All right, so there's reasons. So when people say, oh, the glove didn't fit, so he's not guilty, there's reasons that glove did not fit. Okay? Now, everywhere underneath where it says submitted for the bloody socks, you can look that if you want. There were socks found by OJ's bed that had blood markers on it from him and Nicole. But I'm not doing anything as far as the socks go on the test, so you don't really have to worry about that. Where it says evidence submitted to the court, the bloody Bronco. Remember how we talked about small spots of blood found on the outside door handles? More blood was found smeared on the console. It's the same defense that the defendants keep giving for the evidence. It's that it was planted by the cops. You can't prove who the blood was, even though they did. Every time the the prosecution showed arguments or proof that OJ did it, the defense said, well, you can't prove that it was planted by cops, whatever. Okay? So that's that as far as the evidence goes. Tomorrow, okay, and you're going to get a review guide tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be the last day of notes. And even if you guys have questions throughout the weekend as far as what to put on it, how the test goes, just please shoot me a message. I'll help you guys out. But tomorrow we're going to look at the proof that the detective in charge, Mark Fuhrman, was racist. We're going to look at what the verdict was, why the verdict was the way it was, and finally, what happened to OJ after. Okay? If you have any questions, shoot me a message on here. If not, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.